Today is Thursday, December 29th. What to know about the ongoing frustration for Southwest Airlines passengers and how the company's rivals are now stepping in to help. Also, there's a new rule for travelers from China meant to keep another wave of COVID-19 from coming to the U.S. Plus, predictions for gas prices in 2023, a possible Bill Cosby comeback tour, and the big box office milestone for one new movie. Those stories and more coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. For a fourth straight day now, thousands of flights have been canceled. And once again, most of them are Southwest Airlines flights. That's a huge issue since Southwest carries more passengers within the U.S. than any other airline. But other airlines have already recovered from the winter storms that swept the U.S. over the weekend, while Southwest's problems have been snowballing. Company officials, union leaders, and flight experts say the biggest issues have been Southwest's complex flight scheduling model and its outdated internal management systems. Experts are now calling this an unprecedented level of disruption that's not expected to end anytime soon. Southwest has already warned that a lot more flight cancellations will likely come tomorrow as well. But the company says it's doing everything it can to get things back on track. As Business Insider reports, a memo went out to corporate employees asking them to work extra shifts to help with crew scheduling. Meanwhile, thousands of Southwest Airlines customers are still having a hard time getting home. So many of them have taken the drastic step of just buying tickets on other airlines, no matter what they cost. And last-minute flights can sometimes cost thousands of dollars. Well, in the face of all that chaos, some of Southwest's rivals are changing that. American, Delta, and United have all said they're capping prices in certain cities, at least for the next few days, to help people get home. Well, there are some new questions over how a historic blizzard is being handled in western New York. The death toll in the Buffalo area alone has now reached nearly 40, and it could still rise since the National Guard is now going door to door to check on people. That part of the country has gotten more than 50 inches of snow since Christmas Eve, along with extreme winds that knocked out power and left people stranded in the cold. Local leaders are urging a review of how the storm has been handled, like whether officials did enough to prepare for it and if they're doing enough now to get things running again. Some people say officials should have declared a travel ban earlier than they did. Others say crews need to be working faster to clean up roads. For now, officials say they're working as fast as they can under the circumstances, and they're hoping to make more progress as the snow continues to melt this week. Before the world marks 1 year since Russia first invaded Ukraine in February, the Ukrainians are pushing for formal peace talks. Ukraine's foreign minister told the AP his government wants the United Nations to mediate a peace summit within 2 months. Russia's president has also said his country is ready for talks to end the war. But at this point, a real peace deal seems pretty far off. The Russian government says any peace plan must recognize Russia's power over Ukrainian territories that it says it seized during the war, which Ukraine is not open to. And Ukraine has its own demands, like the foreign minister says Russia needs to face a court over war crimes before any kind of meeting, while Russia still denies being responsible for targeting civilians or any other war crimes. So the countries seem to be at an impasse. And for now, the United Nations says it will only mediate a summit if all sides actually want it. Other world leaders have also offered to mediate, like officials in Turkey and Saudi Arabia. But again, there's still not a clear path toward peace, and with that, no end in sight to this war. Well, there's another development out of Russia that could disrupt the global oil markets. The Russian government announced it will no longer sell any petroleum products to countries that have limited the price of Russian oil. You may remember earlier this month, the G7 wealthy nations, European Union, and Australia agreed to cap the price of Russian oil at $60 a barrel. The whole idea was to let Russia keep selling oil to avoid a huge shortage, but to make sure the Russian government doesn't make as much money off of it in the face of its war in Ukraine. Well, Russia is now sending out the message that it doesn't need that money anyway, since it's still selling enough oil to countries like India, China, and Turkey. In theory, this move could reduce the global supply of oil and drive up prices worldwide. But many economists say it won't make that much of a difference since Western countries have already banned most Russian imports anyway. And so far, investors seem to be mostly shrugging it off, at least for now. By the way, here in the U.S., the federal government is now taking bids and planning to buy 3 million barrels of oil starting next month. It needs to replenish the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, since new data this week shows it has dropped to its lowest level since 1983. Since March of this year, the Biden administration has taken about 200 million barrels of oil from the reserves. It's all been an effort to drive down gas prices. But critics say the releases have made the U.S. more vulnerable to big supply disruptions in the future. Well, now is the time to restock, and next month's purchase will just be the first of many, since the U.S. now has a lot of restocking to do. So what's next for gas prices? Well, Gas Buddy predicts they'll keep going down at the start of 2023, then go back up for a peak travel season next summer. More news is still coming up, but first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So I realized over the last year that parenting, unfortunately, does not come with a user manual. Even though as a journalist, I tend to do a lot of research, it frankly stresses me out that there is so much conflicting information for how to go about this very important job of parenting. Well, therapists are trained to help us navigate all of these big life transitions and new challenges in life. Therapy has helped me better cope with the stress and newness of it all, and to trust my own instincts and capabilities more. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/newsworthy. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/newsworthy. The federal government is adding new restrictions for travelers coming from China. Once again, it's because of concerns over COVID-19. Anyone coming from China will have to show a negative COVID-19 test result before flying into the United States, whether they're vaccinated or not. The new rule comes as COVID infections are surging in China. The government there estimates as many as 248 million people have caught the virus in the first 20 days of December. The virus is so rampant, Chinese officials think it's possible 37 million of their citizens could have been infected in just a single day last week. So now the American CDC says the risk is too high. Some scientists are worried this surge in China could even unleash a new variant on the world, and they want to avoid having it spread in the U.S. The U.S. is not the only country singling China out. Japan, India, and Italy have added similar restrictions ever since China loosened its zero-COVID lockdown policies in recent weeks. Now that Bill Cosby is out of jail, he's apparently looking to get back on stage. For the first time since he was released from prison in 2021, the 85-year-old disgraced comedian says he's planning a new tour. When asked in a recent radio interview if 2023 would be the year for him to make a comeback, Cosby said, quote, "Yes, because there's so much fun to be had in this storytelling that I do." Remember, Cosby was locked up in 2018 for sexual assault. The infamous comedian was convicted of drugging and sexually assaulting a woman at his Pennsylvania mansion in 2004. More than 50 other women had also accused Cosby of drugging and assaulting them. But the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court overturned his conviction over a deal a district attorney had struck with Cosby for his testimony years ago. So he was released from prison after serving just 3 years of his 10-year sentence. But Cosby is still dealing with many other accusations and lawsuits. Even though Cosby says he's planning a comeback tour, he hasn't actually given any dates or locations yet. His rep has only said it could start in spring or summer. The latest Avatar movie, The Way of Water, has now brought in $1 billion at the global box office, and that's the fastest any movie in 2022 has hit that milestone. It's only the sixth movie in history to achieve $1 billion in ticket sales in just 2 weeks. The last time that happened was with the new Spider-Man movie when it debuted last year. You might remember that the first Avatar film still holds the record as the highest-earning movie of all time in theaters, bringing in about $3.5 billion worldwide back in 2009. As good as Avatar 2 is doing, many critics doubt it will climb high enough to dethrone its predecessor. Well, someone could have a very happy New Year celebration if they win the lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot is growing to an estimated $640 million. And that's the largest Mega Millions prize ever offered in the final week of any year. The jackpot has been building since the middle of October. That means there have been 21 straight drawings without anyone matching all 6 numbers. But as impressive as $640 million sounds, it doesn't even rank in the top 10 of the largest lottery jackpots. The next Mega Millions drawing is tomorrow night. It does take an outrageous amount of luck to win, though. Your odds of matching every single number are about 1 in 302.6 million. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Canvas Prints. I was so impressed with my experience with canvasprints.com. It lets you easily turn photo memories on your phone into beautiful canvas prints or photo blankets and pillows, mugs, coasters, and more. So if you still owe someone a belated holiday gift or you want something new and sentimental for your own home in the new year, check out canvasprints.com. I recently got some canvas prints for our own home, and it was the easiest and most seamless process. I appreciated that canvasprints.com offered templated wall displays to choose from, since I never know exactly how it should all fit together on my own. But whether you do that or you do your own design, you literally just upload your photo, pick your product, and add to cart. Right now, canvasprints.com has a special offer just for our listeners. Go to canvasprints.com and use the code Newsworthy25 to get 25% off your entire order of canvas prints, canvas wall displays, metal prints, photo tiles, photo blankets and pillows, and much more. Find the perfect product or gift and save with this amazing offer. That's canvasprints.com and use code Newsworthy25 for 25% off your entire order. Okay, now back to Thing to Know Thursday. We all know about sick season, when it gets colder outside and suddenly it seems like everyone is coughing, sneezing, and blowing their noses. And this year has been especially tough with the so-called triple-demic, a combo of the flu, RSV, and COVID-19. Well, a new study shows there's actually a biological explanation to it. Researchers from Harvard Medical School and Northeastern University found evidence the cold air itself actually damages the immune response that happens in your nose. They learned that lowering the temperature inside the nose by as little as 9 degrees can kill nearly 50% of the cells that fight viruses and bacteria in the nostrils. So that's apparently one reason more respiratory viruses show up this time of year. Of course, as study authors acknowledge, the conventional understanding is that cold weather also drives people indoors where germs are tougher to avoid. And this study doesn't disprove that theory, but it could help give people another tool to avoid getting sick in the future. Researchers now hope drug therapies like a nasal spray could be developed for people to use during colder months to boost immunity. For now, that's probably a long way off, but scientists say they're going to get to work. Well, thank you so much for listening today and keeping us part of your routine during this holiday season. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.